Namaskar. Welcome to our series Is Green Really Just Green? थर्ड एपिसोड व्हाट इज द रियल प्रॉब्लम। लास्ट टाइम वीडियो में हमने डिस्कस किया था कि ग्रीन प्रोजेक्ट्स हम सब करना चाहते हैं, ग्रीन पॉलिसीज भी हैं, लेकिन ग्राउंड में इम्प्लीमेंटेशन 100% एक्यूरेटली नहीं हो पा रहा है। तो क्या कारण है? This time we are going to highlight those reasons that we call the implementation challenges. So broadly I am dividing the implementation challenges into 10 categories. It may be more. आप लोग जो इस फील्ड में काम कर रहे हैं, आप लोग और भी कई सारे challenges face कर रहे होंगे. You can comment below. But broadly I am categorizing the problems into 10. What are those 10 challenges? Political gap, financial gap, policy gap, technical capacity gap, administrative gap, conflict of interest, evaluation and monitoring gap, local economy development gap, cultural gap, social gap, etc. Political gap. Lack of political will to enforce green policy or green project. Why? Green means what? Green means we ensure conservation, preservation, protection, audit, inspection, monitoring, evaluation, optimization of all kind of resources. But what our voters need? They need everything free of cost or in a cheaper price. Therefore, the green concept, the sustainable concept, usually goes against the interest of the voters. That is the first apprehension of the politician. Second, next is incremental cost. Incremental cost is upfront, immediate and now, which is visible. But the benefit is long term and not so visible. So politicians, they are little apprehensive about convince their voters about the immediate benefit of the green project. Third is economy versus nature. Though all high revenue generating industries are highly polluting and have high carbon footprint, but government and politicians, they protect the brown industries like coal, oil, steel, because they are the reason of instant jobs and the growth of state and country GDP. Next is interdepartmental coordination. Our politicians, they know that our government departments, they don't talk to each other. And many officials, they don't have the capacity, technical capacity or expertise to manage complex green tech projects. So that is another apprehension. Next is voters' demand. So till date, our public are not yet aware so much that they can appreciate or demand for green projects. So these are the primary reasons for the politicians to get apprehensive. So in short, vote fears, bad interdepartmental coordination and the GDP pressure equal to no action. Next is financial gap. Green projects means high incremental cost. Why? Green projects, they cost more because green is always a afterthought. It's a post-construction paperwork, but not the design philosophy or pre-design stage decision making. So therefore, it is leading to this incremental cost trap. Efficiency at early stage is always cheaper than last moment fixing. Why later cost more? Because all the green norms at the pre-design stage needs knowledge and expertise, though it's no cost intervention. But at the same time, if the design and planning is not efficient, then it leads to adoption of high-end, very high-performance product at the construction stage. And again, if the installed equipments are not efficient, then it leads to high operational costs. The quick fixes often require emergency consultants, rare materials at the last minute, that driving up the prices. So what is the early bird solution? If you integrate these green norms during the pre-design stage, the cost increase is often less than 2%. But if you wait until construction starts, then the cost jumps up to 20% or more. So green is not expensive, but adoption of green at the last stage or at the wrong time is expensive. Next is policy gap. The regulatory gap because of the non-functional or dead policy. Why? जब हम government department से बात करते हैं, so every officers, every department heads, they declare that we have sufficient green policy. All our policies are green. Yes. Green policies are there on paper, but our concern is it's not getting translated 100% on ground. What is the primary reason? The primary reason is no clarity, because all the policies are written in such vague language that it doesn't have a clear direction to the applicant or to the consumer what to do, when to do. Then there is no quantification or no numbers. There are absolutely no measurable unit, no targets, no timeline, no accountability. And third is no ownership. No dedicated officers to implement or facilitate or monitor those policies. So these are the primary reasons why the policies are failing, or we call it dead policies. So as a result, policy exists but impact does not. So what is required? Our policy should be very clear. It should have a clear direction to the applicant, to the consumer, where to apply, what all documents need to be submitted, what all compliances need to be done on site or on project. Then it should be quantified, exactly the benefit or the incentive should be quantified, that how much greenness is exactly required, what should be the certification label, what should be the scoring, what should be the saving the policy is expecting. Then accountability, who will submit, what deliverables will need to be submitted, and who will check. All that evaluation and monitoring system or structure should be there, and it should be supported by the dedicated manpower, skilled expertise from the government department. Because sustainability is not defined by the documents, it's defined by the deliverables. So without a clear direction, focused outcome, structured roadmap, creating specialized workforce to facilitate this policy, the policies are risk being symbolic or dead policies. Technical capacity gap. We know that green is a multidisciplinary subject. So green needs expertise in the field of architecture, in engineering like civil, mechanical, electrical, in the field of solar, energy experts. Then also we need water experts, the horticulturists. All kind of experts are required to create a green project. It needs an integrated approach to execute, starting from the design to construction and operation. It needs an integrated approach to execute a green project. But our departments, they work isolatedly. The system is in such a way that every department has their independent tasks, like water is taken care by the water department, power is with energy department, buildings is with housing departments, environmental norms with the environment department. So all our departments, they work isolatedly and separately. So this integrated approach by the departments to execute a complex green project is very difficult. So and also this kind of expertise is very difficult to be present in a single umbrella. So due to this technical capacity gap, बहुत सारा नुकसान हमें झेलना पड़ता है. तो गवर्नमेंट प्रोजेक्ट्स में सबसे बड़ा जो हमारा नुकसान होता है बैड प्रोक्योरमेंट. बैड प्रोक्योरमेंट अर्थात जो ग्रीन प्रोजेक्ट सबमिट होते हैं तो उसका प्रॉपर इवैल्यूएशन नहीं हो पाता है. ऑलवेज वी गो बाय दैट L1 सिलेक्शन प्रोसेस, जिसमें ग्रीन क्वालिटी इवैल्यूएट नहीं होता है. जब प्री डिजाइन DBR सबमिट हो रहा है या डिजाइन सबमिट हो रहा है, जो डिजाइन अपने आप को सेल्फ डिक्लेयर कर रहे हैं, वी आर ग्रीन, वी आर 5 स्टार रेटेड, वी आर नेट जीरो, तो वो एक्चुअल में उस डिजाइन में नेट जीरो है कि नहीं, उस DBR में वो सारे स्पेसिफिकेशन मेंशन हुए हैं कि नहीं, वो कैलकुलेशन हुआ है कि नहीं, तो वो स्टेज में इवैल्यूएट नहीं हो पाता है. सो दैट सेल्फ डिक्लेरेशन इज गेटिंग एक्सेप्टेड बाय द गवर्नमेंट डिपार्टमेंट्स. द टेंडर डॉक्यूमेंट जब सबमिट होता है बाय द एप्लीकेंट, बाय द कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स, वो टेंडर डॉक्यूमेंट का ग्रीननेस कितना है वो अप्रोप्रिएटली इवैल्यूएट नहीं हो पाता है. सो इट लीड्स टू अ बैड प्रोक्योरमेंट. वही L1 प्रोसेस में हम लोग सिलेक्ट करते हैं. नेक्स्ट इज अप्रूवल बॉटलनेक. क्योंकि ग्रीन क्लेम करने के लिए जो भी पॉलिसी में है, जो भी पॉलिसी इंसेंटिव्स या बेनिफिट्स डिक्लेयर करता है फॉर अ ग्रीन प्रोजेक्ट, इफ द प्रोजेक्ट इज क्लेमिंग और द एप्लीकेंट इज क्लेमिंग दैट दे आर सबमिटिंग अ ग्रीन प्रोजेक्ट, सो वो होल्ड हो जाता है, उसका अप्रूवल डिले होता है, बिकॉज दैट कमिटी दे नीड टू डिसाइड दैट वेदर दे कैन रिलीज दैट इंसेंटिव और नॉट. जैसे रेगुलेशन हायर FAR का इंसेंटिव डिक्लेयर करता है फॉर द ग्रीन प्रोजेक्ट, बट इफ द एप्लीकेंट इज आस्किंग फॉर दैट हायर FAR तो वो अप्रूवल होने में बहुत टाइम लग जाता है. सो दैट अप्रूवल प्रोसेस गेट्स डिलेड बिकॉज ऑफ दिस लैक ऑफ technical expertise to understand that how much greenness the project has adopted. Next is the copy paste error. Government tenders में बहुत बार ये देखा जाता है कि दूसरे प्रोजेक्ट से, दूसरे स्टेट से हम कॉपी पेस्ट करते हैं द ग्रीन नॉर्म्स एंड द ग्रीन रेटिंग सर्टिफिकेशंस रिक्वायरमेंट एंड ऑल, जो मेरे प्रोजेक्ट के लिए, इस पर्टिकुलर प्रोजेक्ट के लिए मे बी एप्लीकेबल नहीं है. तो ग्रीन इज अ वेरी सब्जेक्टिव टर्मिनोलॉजी. वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज एप्लीकेबल फॉर माई टाइप ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट, माई क्लाइमेट, माई फंक्शनैलिटी रिक्वायरमेंट of the project. So without without that understanding, that copy paste also leads to the failure of the project. Next is administrative gap. So till date, for the greenness evaluation, we are dependent on the third party or the individual auditors. We do not have a centralized department or system or dedicated manpower of government who can take the responsibility of executing, monitoring and evaluation of green projects. So independent or isolate evaluation by appointing various different third parties or various different auditors is leading to dilution or different quality of green projects across the country. Decarbonization is not just an environmental issue. It cut across urban planning, infrastructure, industry, finance and behavior. Yet there is no single mission command to align all this together. So what is the result? Is diffused ownership, diluted accountability, policy execution gap, inconsistent outcome across the states. So structurally there are institutions, but they operate in silos. So no single mission command for decarbonization or the complete sustainable development. So India has the intent, but what is missing is the integrated, expert-led and command structure. So we don't need more policies or more announcement. Rather, we need a centralized national level decarbonization authority or department. Next issue is the conflict of interest. This is a very critical issue because till date in our Indian system, the contractor who is constructing or executing the project, he is giving the green certificate. He is appointing consultant, he is paying to the consultant to give him the NOC from the green certification agency. Similarly, the industries who are the consumers, who are polluting the environment, they are preparing their own green audit reports, energy audit reports, environmental reports or this SDG declaration and ESG declaration. They are themselves, they are appointing consultant, they are appointing the auditors and they are getting it done and submitting the report. So that is the biggest conflict of interest. So what is the result? First is client pays the evaluator. So there is a narrative control and what gets reported versus what gets hidden. That is the major issue. So in short, self-reporting, consultant-driven compliance model often leads to the greenwashing risk. Next is evaluation and monitoring gap. So evaluation and monitoring gap कहाँ हो रहा है? First is the pre-design stage. During the pre-design, जब हमारा DBR बनता है, जिसके बेसिस पे हमारा टेंडर डॉक्यूमेंट बनाया जाता है, प्रोजेक्ट एस्टिमेशन बनाया जाता है, उस स्टेज में the designs are getting submitted, the DBR is getting submitted to government department. Are they green? Whatever they are claiming themselves. The design are self-declared net zero project, net plus project, or maybe green 5-star rated project. But are they really meeting those norms by their design and whatever specifications they have mentioned, whatever calculation, whatever capacity they have sized? So that label evaluation is not happening. So because of that, when the design is getting tendered and implemented on site, जब तक वो कंस्ट्रक्शन हो जाता है और हम उसका कैलकुलेशन करते हैं, तो वो नेट जीरो और नेट प्लस होना तो बहुत दूर की बात है, कभी कभी मिनिमम बेसिक मैंडेटरी नॉर्म्स भी नहीं मीट कर रहे होते हैं. So that evaluation is missing during the pre-design stage, tendering stage व DBR stage में. Next है monitoring and evaluation. During the implementation of the project, whether whatever they are claiming on the tender document or on the design, whether those things are getting implemented rightly, accurately on site, whether those materials are really meeting those specified specifications. So that monitoring is also required, which is not happening, which is leading to all this greenwash and dilution of the documentations. And another important thing is the MEP. MEP is one of the most important parameter of a green project that we call the mechanical, electrical and plumbing design, service design primarily. So service design are the most neglected part in our Indian projects because so normally a kind of a afterthought. Once things are designed, once the building structure, the architecture is finalized, the tender has been frozen, that time the MEP has to be finalized. That time the MEP consultants are appointed and they are designing on the existing design and within the specified budget. So that results also into inefficient design, which cannot be very sustainable or cannot ensure higher efficiency in the project. Or within that limited capacity, if we have to make the project efficient, then we have to go for very high-end products or equipment, high technology, which leads to the incremental cost of the project. Last but not the least, the post-occupancy stage monitoring and evaluation, that we call the operation and maintenance. So operation and maintenance is also the very important part of a green project. So green project is not only about execution, it has to be maintained. All the green parameters or measures or equipment and fixtures which are installed in the project has to be maintained by skilled manpower. Those manpower need to be trained, and they should have a proper protocol to maintain the entire energy, water and waste efficiency systems in the projects. So that is also missing in most of the projects in India. So we do not have that third party trained skilled professional where all the roles and responsibilities are defined in terms of the maintenance of these green features. So that is also leading to the failure of a green project post construction. लोकल इकोनॉमी डेवलपमेंट गैप. सो ग्रीन प्रोजेक्ट में हम बहुत ज्यादा encourage करते हैं टू यूज लोकल मटेरियल्स सो दैट द रिसोर्स कैन बी ऑप्टिमाइज्ड. सो सिमिलरली जब ग्रीन प्रोजेक्ट्स हमारा एग्जीक्यूट होता है, लार्ज स्केल ग्रीन प्रोजेक्ट्स, यूजुअली द पैटर्न इज द गवर्नमेंट डिपार्टमेंट्स दे अपॉइंट द आउटसाइड ब्रांडेड बिग एजेंसीज टू हेल्प देम इन एग्जीक्यूटिंग द ग्रीन प्रोजेक्ट्स. सो instead of that, if the projects can include the available local experts, there are a lot of local experts who are expert in various field to help in a green projects in various corners of India. So if they can be involved in the decision making and in the execution of the green projects, so it can also improve the local economy. So in short, local economy development gap means the over reliance on the outside expert. That result, the local talent remains underutilized, regional expertise doesn't grow, economy benefit flow out of the local ecosystem. Next is the cultural gap. Lack of interest of the professionals for taking green education or training. Why? Because the system is designed in such a way that the system doesn't demand or reward or acknowledge the green experts or the professionals like architects or engineers who are giving more time, investing more time and energy to learning those green skills and making their project green. They are also not getting acknowledged or rewarded anywhere. Neither it is giving any kind of business benefit to them. So that interest is currently lacking in our design professionals. When projects are driven by lowest cost and basic compliance, sustainability becomes an extra effort with no return. So how to fix this problem? If the green expertise can be rewarded, if the green experts or these professionals who are training themselves to be the green pro also can get some kind of business benefit, their contribution if recognized by government departments, if we can penalize the greenwashing and build a strong training ecosystem, or also if the government department can empanel those local green experts, then also it can motivate the local professionals and the green experts to train themselves more to learn the updated and the innovative green skills. So people don't ignore sustainability, they respond to the incentives. Change the system and the professionals will change automatically. Now last but not the least, social gap. Lack of public awareness to create that demand pool. Till now we have been expecting from the architects, the engineers, the professionals, the government, the policymakers and the politicians for the sustainability movement. But to lead sustainability, the real driver is you, the citizen, the buyers and the vote. Because the goal of decarbonizing India by 2047 is not just a policy goal, it is the people's movement. Now the question is how? If the home buyers are willing to pay a little extra for a green home, developers will build greener projects. If the voters value sustainable development, leaders will make it a priority. If every citizen can take care of their own waste, then we can create a Swachh Bharat. Hence, sustainability now needs a collective push. So demand for green, Choose green and vote for green because real change begins when the society decides it matters. Thank you.